Welcome to the ZimmCast, a program dedicated to bringing you what's new in agricultural marketing. The ZimmCast is the official podcast of AgWired and hosted by Chuck and Cindy Zimmerman.
Welcome to this edition of the ZimmCast, which is about the second celebration of modern ag on the National Mall event that was held recently in Washington, D.C., coordinated by the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. And AEM estimates that more than 15,000 people visited over the three-day event that featured more than 80 pieces of equipment, including tractors and combines, milking equipment, sprayers and planters, irrigation equipment, and exhibits by a variety of grower organizations. Chuck was there, and he interviewed many of the people who made it happen and who participated. First of all, Megan Tennell is president of AEM.
Yeah, so as far as the celebration of modern farming on the National Mall here, it's our second time holding this event. It's our third time holding an event in general here. We've done two of these focused on agriculture, one focused on construction. Why is it so much bigger this year? I think we made a bit of an impact the first year around, and people, our members, as well as the general public and Congress people and those on the Hill really enjoyed being able to come out, have some conversations, and test some equipment, climb on some equipment, and learn something new.
So tell us about the exhibitors here. I mean, you're an equipment association, but besides that, we have a lot of other types of exhibitors.
Everything we do is looking to partner, right, to drive the industry forward. And so we have roughly 25 equipment manufacturers on the mall and then over 30 organizations. And these organizations might be representing associations to a certain commodity or a way of farming, or could be fuels, it could be seed, it could be fertilizer, a lot of different groups that are here. And it just really shows how the industry needs to come together to talk about the importance of technology and innovation within agriculture. You know, our job is to continuously do more with less. Agriculture as a whole has a long, amazing history. And our job is to make sure that it still stays top of mind for the general public. Here's the importance, here's where your food comes from, here's how your food is made, as well as those who are talking about legislation or regulation within our government. Here's why we do this, here's how we could do this, and how can we partner together to make it better.
Since you have done this in the past, what kind of feedback did you get from visitors that came here?
Well, there's a lot of different visitors, right, that are coming here. So as far as the general public, they loved it. Anyone who came just loved if they had their kids here or if it was grandparents. Some could be people that said, man, I own a farm and my tractor looked nothing like this back in the day, right? And so for them to be able to see where the industry has come and where it's going was kind of cool. For kids to understand that this is the equipment that helps make the food that they eat, and they could climb on that stuff, they could talk to different people. As far as the feedback, one of the biggest things was I never knew. I didn't know. I remember the first time we were here, I was talking to a congresswoman. She had no idea about robotic milking. That's not that new. People need to know this stuff, right? That there's so much innovation going on in this industry, and here's a great way for them to learn about it.
This year's theme, The Future of Food and Farming, showcased the advances that drive American agriculture's long history of producing more while reducing its environmental footprint. Netafim was one of several irrigation companies that participated to showcase the latest technology in sustainable water use. Chuck spoke with Aubrey Betancourt, Global Director of Government Relations, and Mike Bloomfield, Commercial Lead for Forage Crops.
What is it that kind of drew the company to wanting to be involved, and you've got an exhibit out here?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, of course, is the exposure. It's twofold for us. We have amazing technology that has multiple applications, not just our half a century plus history of water conservation and innovation that comes from around the world, but also added bonuses and added applications of subsurface drip irrigation, not only around nutrient management, but also creating circular economies on our farms with our SDIE or effluent program as well. So the opportunity to do education to key stakeholders and to expose them to the new applications of this, especially in a farm bill year, is a very important priority for us, most definitely. But Mike also came to us from Arizona. He's a specialist in SDI, and
yeah, so the other aspect that we're looking at is in the Colorado River Basin is where I'm from, and we're going through a a water crisis in that area, right? Very short on water in the Colorado River. And one of the big users that's been identified and maybe a little bit vilified in the media and in politics is alfalfa. And so, but we can help alfalfa use less water and improve their yields by adopting this technology. And so we're excited about being able to do that. And then not only is it good for the farmer by being able to increase his yields, it's also good for the environment by decreasing water consumption, allowing that to stay in the river and in the lakes. And then also the same process of changing our irrigation practices from primarily flood in that area to drip irrigation reduces our greenhouse gases. We can reduce in alfalfa greenhouse gases by 75%. Common crop rotated in with alfalfa in that area is corn. We can reduce greenhouse gases of nitrous oxide emissions and by 90% in corn. And it's a really big story to tell that not only are we being good for the environment, we're good for the farmer, we're good for our urban partners, right? And it's good for the agriculture economy and economy all together. And so we're here, excited to be here on the National Mall where we can interact with our government and with people in the area just to let them know that this technology exists and get help for our growers to be able to adopt this on their farms.
We have a variety of types of individuals coming by here, anywhere from daycare, as we've seen it with a lot of strollers. It could be elected officials. It could be some people that maybe when they were little, they lived on a farm but have been away from it, but have questions. What's kind of your main message?
To your point, it's been absolutely a joy to watch the different faces and the different folks that come through here. Kids are fun, and to get them tactically exposed to, wow, there's other ways things are done, or your food comes from a certain place and it's irrigated in different ways, and letting them touch and play with the technology and getting them exposed to, I think, the innovation that's taking place in agriculture. You never know, we might get our next great inventor out of this. Our next Norman Borlaug could be walking around and we don't even know about it. And this is great exposure for them. Even, of course, we had a professional run by this morning, and she was a doctor from California, and it changed her mind on, wow, because this is how our food system is working today. This is how modern we all are in our industry, but there's just a common misperception. I think we have the bucolic vision, our consumer does, of our industry, and so to see the incredible sophistication of our growers on display is a great opportunity. And of course then our decision makers, our leaders, our elected officials, and more importantly their staff, really helping them get a grip on what are our priorities right now, what do our growers need to keep farming, to be able to make these important investments that help them with increased yield, increased productivity, and allow them to continue to farm and farm for the future is essential at this time.
Another spotlight at the event was on precision dairy, and some work being done in that area by John Deere and De Laval.
I'm Courtney Schlichty. I am the Small Ag Marketing Manager for John Deere.
I'm Joaquin Azocar, Solution Manager for Farm Management Solutions in De Laval, North America.
A couple interesting things, but let's start with this event in itself.
Really, what drew us here is to talk about our sustainability message when it comes to the Milk Sustainability Center. And we can talk some more about what that means, but it's a good message to get across in how we're going to use data to help farmers improve what they're doing on their farm and their range.
And how about from De Laval's standpoint?
Yeah, this is a very interesting event where we have different kind of public. You have some kids coming from schools and people that don't know much about dairy, so it's very interesting inviting them to learn more, and they come with very good, interesting questions. And also being here in the National Mall is an opportunity to get in contact with some decision makers, policy people that need to also, they want to learn more about this, so we are here to tell them more about what agriculture is doing to stay sustainable for the future.
Well, you mentioned the Milk Sustainability Center, so let's talk about that a little bit. I know this is a collaboration between the two companies.
Yeah, I think when you think about the Milk Sustainability Center and what we can bring together, De Laval is really the expert on the dairy side and bringing in the data from the dairy farms. What John Deere does is we can bring in that information from the farm itself through our operations center. And when we combine those two things, it can be very powerful data for a farmer and a dairyman to go back and take a look at to drive sustainability and improvements in their operation.
Yeah, De Laval and John Deere, when they start talking together, we find out that we have a common vision, right? The future of agriculture and dairy farming goes together with sustainability, right? And when we work with the same group of customers and we see the common need, and the data that we generate from the different systems is so big and it's so complex for farmers to really utilize it, we see the need that we can work together to make that simple, right? And help them to understand what happened with everything that they put in the farm versus the output that they get as a food for human consumption.
What's the kind of like main goal of what you want to achieve?
When we think in goals, in my mind we have the short-term and the long-term goals, right? So in the short term is to start putting together the data that we need for our farmers to be more sustainable and know things that they don't know today. In the long run, this will help also guiding the industry in a way to better use technology that will help us to be more efficient, right? And sustainability is not only about the environment, has a lot of other things like social responsibility, animal welfare, financial economics in the same farm to stay sustainable. All of that come together when we talk about sustainability, and that will be the biggest scope for the future.
What else would you like folks to know about the Milk Sustainability Center?
If you want to go online, you can go to the milksustainabilitycenter.com and find out more information, and you can start to sign up for newsletters. And then as we roll into late summer and early fall, we'll start rolling out the first pass, where farmers can go in and sign up for free and start to be a part of this program and get their information loaded into the warehouse.
Anything else you want to say on behalf of De Laval?
I think Courtney said very well. That's the plan for this year, inviting farmers to join. This doesn't matter if they are De Laval or John Deere customers. This will be open for every dairy farmer. And in this partnership, we're also open to invite other companies who wants to join into this.
Among the agricultural organizations taking part in the Ag on the Mall event was the American Seed Trade Association, and one of the group's members from California was able to spend some time on the mall. Rick Falconer is with Reich Zuan.
We're an international vegetable breeding company, still family-owned. I head over the North American division for Reich Zuan. We're based out of Salinas, California. And we're happy to be here in Washington, D.C.
Well, we're here in this particular spot because of ASTA, the American Seed Trade Association. Tell me a little bit about why get involved in this event and what your message is for consumers and some of our representatives here when they come by and want to know more.
Sure, yeah. We're here representing the American Seed Trade Association, a 700-member industry association. We cover all sectors of the seed industry, so from grass seed, forage seed, field crop seed. My company is specifically in the vegetable seed business, and we also have members that are flower seed companies.
What do you want to say to these folks?
Yeah, we're here to help educate. New breeding techniques are very important to the seed industry, and trying to educate people what hybrid breeding, molecular marker breeding, new technologies such as gene editing and things like that. Getting the public to know a little bit about the seed business and some of our challenges, and trying to produce a better product for the consumer.
Well, before we close, tell me a little about the company that you work for.
Yeah, we're celebrating our 100th year anniversary this year. So Reich Zuan's been around for many, many years. Reich Zuan is about the fourth largest vegetable breeding company in the world. North America, we're not as large as some of the other companies, but we are very focused on vegetable seed. We like to say we breed from asparagus to zucchini, so we cover a lot of species. We deal with organic seed, conventional seed, and most of the other sectors of the vegetable breeding industry.
In addition to the exhibits, there were also main stage presentations for visitors that delved into some pretty technical topics that actually are critical to the future of food and farming, like interoperability. Chuck talked to Ag Gateway's Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer Jeremy Wilson, who had a lot to share, not only with visitors, but also with other exhibitors.
When we look at data interoperability and start talking about digital agriculture, and data interoperability is the center of it. If we can't create data on the farm or even a service we're providing to the farmer and be able to share that to other systems, to whatever decision support system or maybe even reporting tools that we need, what values of data we collected? It is at the center of it. We have to be able to share this data to be able to make decisions. And whether it's improving our environmental footprint or if it's improving profitability to the grower, it doesn't matter. That data has to be able to be shared easily. The connectivity is being able to move the data once collected. The interoperability is being able to interpret that data once we have received it. And we've still got some cases where that connectivity is a USB stick. I hate to say it, but we just still have some areas that's how the data comes. And irregardless of that delivery mechanism, we have to be able to interpret that data, to use that data to drive decisions.
So in what ways is Ag Gateway kind of tackling this issue?
We've been tackling it almost from the beginning of our existence now, back 2005. But, one of the easiest things to talk about and where we brought it, is in ADAPT, where we developed the ADAPT toolkit that allowed manufacturers to develop a plugin so a software provider could build this data model into their software, license these plugins from the manufacturer, and then be able to interpret these proprietary files or raw data files. Now we're moving that to the next step. We're now going further and going to have the ADAPT standard. And some other things, we have kind of inherited the MODIS standard, which is the soil testing format of how everyone shares soil testing data. Now we're in phase 2 of that. MODIS 2.0 is rolling out as we speak. And we're adding new attributes and new elements to that standard to facilitate some of this environmental reporting. So that's 2 examples, but we've done the same thing years ago in supply chain by creating standardized messages to order product, bill product, receive products, and other things.
And this is not, some people might think, just big equipment like tractors and combines. At this point, it's just about any kind of hardware or applications that all need to have this particular interoperability.
Absolutely, and it all started as big equipment data and other things, but there's so many places the data comes from. We're looking at more and more sensors showing up in the field or on the equipment, and maybe even data coming out of mobile devices and other things. There's just a mountain of data that we're getting that we got to have this interoperability to really utilize the data to its full value. Because long and short, if we can't bring value to that data, why is a grower going to mess with it and record it? He's not.
This is going to benefit growers. It's going to be the benefit of equipment manufacturers, for that matter, and ultimately the consumer that's eating the food that gets grown in this country.
Absolutely, and some of us have a hard time accepting it, but our ultimate customer, so when I grow a kernel of corn or I grow a kernel of wheat, the ultimate customer, that's that consumer that's going to buy it, in that grocery store. And they are requesting more data now than they ever have. And, it's probably touched some of the produce and some of the other things sooner than it has row crops. But once we get this data interoperability, we can begin to answer some of these questions that ultimate customer has. And ultimately, yes, we're impacting everyone in agriculture. Whether you're a software provider, you're a hardware provider, you're a manufacturer of a product, or you're the grower. We're looking to bring value to both. And, when you look at the partnership between what we're doing and AEF and even what AEM is doing, we just have to connect this entire segment to really benefit from the value of the data that's collected.
Lots more interviews and photos and audio from some of the panels are available on agnewswire.com. And that's the ZimmCast for this time. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the ZimmCast, the official podcast of AgWired. Check us out at www.agwired.com to find out what's new in agricultural marketing.